What's going on, everybody? We have Paul Hinman back in the hot seat. How's it going, Paul?
Good.
We just got done with a morning hunt, a foggy morning hunt.
That's true, yeah.
It was very rough to end late or early season goose, but it's September geese.
Yeah, they are a fickle bird at this time of year.
I thought you were going to drop another word that starts with an F there.
No.
But no, today we're going to be talking about, early season a little bit, even though it just ended. But, scouting, permission-wise, people getting into, early season field hunting or even duck opener coming up here soon. What, next week? I think
This weekend is the UP is right now.
Yeah, when we're recording this, and then the following weekend
Middle
is
zone.
middle zone, and then the next weekend is south zone. But I just been wanting to do a podcast with like September field hunting or even late season field hunting, just because there's not a lot of people that talk about field hunting in general. If you hear like a duck podcast or a waterfowl podcast, everything is just straight, water. Which
Marsh
I mean,
water, yeah.
obviously that's the biggest thing for waterfowl hunting. But we'll start with scouting aspects of everything. You start, maybe you go on a guided hunt or something, and you want to start getting into field hunting. You don't have any fields. For you, wise, what are you looking for on scouting, or how would you,
From starting from scratch, like if
if you don't have anything.
First thing you find is the roost, where
Right.
they're going to be, and then you sit there and watch which direction they go off in, and then you find the fields in the area that they're looking to go into,
Right.
and then you start knocking on doors. Some of them are going to be taken already, some aren't. You're going to get some no's. You're going to, hey, my
A lot more no's than
yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, you got to be good with rejection.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest things that helped me out in the beginning of everything, because I think we just started 6-7 years ago maybe in the field hunting aspect of stuff. I literally did a lot of e-scouting. So I'd go on my Google Maps on my phone. I'd find bodies of water where I would want to hit, say August or whatever it may have been, time of year or whatever, and do square mile laps around those bodies of water.
Yeah.
And that way, if you see wheat fields in August or September or whatever, there's probably birds, good chance that there's a decent amount of birds there. And, thinking about other fields for the future wise, because I didn't really understand that at first, just because, you're looking for birds now, not later.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of also is a big thing too, where, with the scouting, you got to understand where, for me anyway, just because the birds aren't here now doesn't mean they're not going to be here later on.
And there are farms that birds historically hit every year.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what it is. There'll be same cornfield on one side of the road, and there'll be a cornfield on the other side of the road, and they will hit that cornfield that's on this side every time, and you'll never see another bird in that one.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's the same field, same crop, basically just across the street.
Yeah. Do you think birds smell?
To a certain point.
I think so too.
I mean, it's not like a deer's
Right.
sense of smell, but I do think they do have a little bit of they pick up on the human scent a little bit, but nothing that can't be overcome.
Well, because I even think, it's like, how does that goose travel? Just one day gets up out of the roost. Maybe they flew in one night from, migrating through the night or whatever, full moon. They get up, and they just know automatically, I'm going to go this way. And it seems like they just know where the food's at, or like a fresh cut cornfield. All of a sudden, they're just there. You know what I mean? I feel like there's got to be something where it's like a sense, or I know you got your local birds that are following and stuff like that as well. But it's kind of weird how birds react to fresh cut stuff.
Yeah, and it's hard to say what they do, but obviously there's geese that are always flying around, and then once them crops sit up, they fly over it going to their farm that they're going to now. When they see that one's available, well, let's try it out. Let's get back in there. And like I said, there's historical farms and fields that always just have birds in them. Yeah, regardless.
And like I said, that's the biggest thing. Even if you go out scouting wise, any time of year, just because you don't see a bird over here, or don't get discouraged about that location. It takes 2-3 years maybe with the crops in that cycle that they do,
that rotation.
yeah, I mean, with corn, beans, wheat, whatever it is, one year might be better than the other, and you start finding out that they're hitting it this time of year, so I'm not even going to waste my time over there this time of year, and I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and like I try to keep a journal, and pictures are really good because they're time stamped. So you get you take a good picture of like a good hunt that you had on this date, and you're like, well, oh yeah, the bird that bird started showing up over there, and we did it. So, but as a beginner, you try to find that where they're at, where they're roosting, the crops that they're going to, and if you can't get into that, get in, like we were talking earlier today, traffic field.
Right.
Get in between them. Put out as many decoys as you can, and if you can only get permission on that farm, you may shoot 2 one day, you may shoot 20 the next day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those traffic hunts are way underrated, I feel like, in a sense. Because, I mean, like we talked about in the field this morning, so gratifying that, like, you just know that you're able to pull them birds into a spot where they don't want to be and have never been before. And then you got that property owner that's like, there's not even geese behind my house. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then you come out with a pile of birds, and they're like, how did you even do that? But it's just, that's one of my favorite things to do. We don't do it a lot, but it's, I mean, because where we hunt, it's not like, it's ag, obviously, but it's not crazy ag. From the roost to the X field, there's not many fields in between on some of our spots. So it makes it a little bit tough. With scouting this year, I mean, how has up there been though?
It's been
Connor.
We've had pockets of birds. 20 here one day. There'll be 80 in it the next day, or there'll be none. And then you come back to it, and it's the next day it has 150 in it. And so we have pockets of birds scattered all around. And so it's been tough to get into them consistently.
Yeah.
But we did a pretty good job of it in the early season.
That's good to hear then.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a biggest thing for me too is when we are scouting and finding birds or finding locations, we find the birds and they're gone the next day. Just being, early season geese.
Temperature.
Which I think that deters so many people alone. I mean, you can't control it. I mean, look at this morning. We had 150, 200 in the field, and the fog rolls around, and we definitely heard that amount, but just never seen them.
No, they get all scatterbrained, and they go in different directions, and that's I think that's kind of the way that they find new farms that pop up too. The days like that.
That's a good point.
But
it's a good point.
You never know, and it is what it is. It's hunting. It's not killing.
Well, and I think that's, which we'll talk about it a little bit later, but like the social media aspect of everything, people start seeing that. They want to be this, they want to be that, they want to post pile pictures every day, and it's like, that's just not reality. Unless you, and even for you guys like guiding up there, that's you're going to have those days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I forget what it was. I think it was like in September they can feed for a day and be good for the next 3 days or something along those lines.
Yeah, they go to the grass, and that's basically all they need right now.
Right. Right.
The temperatures aren't cold enough to burn the fat that they need, and they can just sit there and loaf all day in the grass. And
it is funny too, because like when we do hunt September, most of the time it's sunny and it gets warm quick out there. Compared to regular season when it's sunny, it's like we're not going out right now. We're going to go out at 10 instead, just because it's always a weird thing when I'm out there and it's just a bluebird day and you see them big old greasy honkers coming across the field, and it's I don't know, it's just weird to me when you kind of break that down.
Yeah, and later in the season, I mean, you've got bigger concentrations of birds, and with the temperatures getting colder, they sit around there and wait until it warms up a little bit. When it's really cold, they won't even fly.
No.
They want to keep that water open.
Yeah.
And it might be a last 5 minutes of daylight that they'll go out there and...
Well, and they're soaking up the sun themselves and keeping them warm.
Yeah, and then they'll go out and feed for 15 minutes, right last daylight, go in, mow down, and head back before the freezes back up. So. And
that's like the field that we hunted today. We seen birds in there Wednesday, but like I said, the last 2 days I've been scouting out there, we haven't seen a thing at night, and it's all the weather pattern. Like, just because you go out scouting, don't think that you got to kind of understand the pattern of the whether like they're going to feed from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock or till 12 o'clock, whatever, and they're not even going to feed the afternoon. So just be, aware of those situations. And I guess in reality, you just never know what's going to happen out there.
Yeah, and the last couple days it's been overcast and dreary. They'll feed all day,
Right.
and they don't need to go back out in the afternoons. And with this full moon that we've just had, on a clear night, they'll feed for a good little while,
Right.
and then in the dark, So the full moon, the weather, everything affects it. It's temperature, wind. I mean,
It's September is a very tough time of year, I guess, in my opinion, the hardest time of year to be shooting geese. I mean, you have your dumb ones, yes, but they're very isolated in certain locations, and half the time it seems like you can't even get on them.
yeah.
What is some tips for looking at like migration patterns, I guess, or like, how do I put it? Like, you obviously get your north wind days.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys looking for up there? How do you guys know when to throw those big spreads out there? Or what's your opinion on that?
Just actually making sure you're checking the roost and the loafs. When you've had a loaf that had only 100 on it, and then the next day you have 400 on it,
Right.
like, oh boy, they're starting to show up. I mean, they've been slowly but surely trickling down with this weather that we've had here, but it's been slow. We had a couple days where it was good days, north winds, any variation of north, northwest, northeast winds. Any of those variations bring some birds down. Clear nights,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But
For down here anyway, I think we only had one real good push. Like I felt like we never even got our calendar birds up or down here. Up there for you guys, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, that's the first ag field that those migrators are really seeing and dumping right into.
yeah, for the most part, yeah, they'll stage there and then they'll work their ways down. But yeah, I mean, it's the first ones they see, and they've been coming down, and they follow 75 down or
Right.
the main expressways or the waterways down, and that's all. They just keep coming down.
Speaking of that wise, is that a thing that you would look for scouting wise for fields like bigger expressways or highways or I mean, you hear that they're following traffic or roads or whatever it is. I mean, is that a thing that
I think it is to an extent. I feel like they're gonna follow the same paths that they normally do, depending on the wind, and the stars, all that kind of stuff all lines up. But majority of the time, you'll see them come down, and you'll see them up in the UP. They'll follow right down the bridge and right down 75, and then they kind of disperse a little bit.
Right.
But they're not gonna like right down the expressway. But
I think a lot of that has to do with just the wind in general too.
Yeah.
Because like if we get a big east wind or west wind, I feel like you get a lot of birds from like, for us Canada or whatever it is, and they get
Push
pushed
across.
over this way.
Yeah.
So you're out scouting, birds are coming in, you find a roost, you follow them around, you find the feed. What are you doing next?
Now I'm gonna try to find out who owns the farm, and get a hold of them, see where they live, and go knock on that door and try to get permission. If you can't, then you next in line, try to
Right.
find another field that, like we were talking about, traffic.
In between or
Get
next
somewhere
to
in
it?
between or next to it or something. If there's a considerable amount of birds in that area, which there's a lot of historical areas where that hold birds, and they're going to be that way. So find farms around there and acquire them, if you can.
Right.
If they're not, and you might not have birds in them right now.
Mm-hmm.
But once they take that crop off,
Well,
the one next to it, they might change fields.
Right, like we said before, like thinking ahead
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on. I mean, it'd be different if your roost is like a tiny pond that the birds are just kind of sitting there and they stay there for a day or two. Which September, I mean, even regular season they do on their flight down until they find that mass group of birds. It seems
Yep.
like, so kind of be aware of that as well. Are you knocking on the first door you see, like the first house on that field, or I mean, obviously Onyx nowadays.
helps eliminate that. But back in the day, yeah, I would knock on the door. Hey, do you own this farm back here? No, that's so and so down the road. Okay.
Come out with a shotgun.
Okay, so you go down there, you knock on that door. He or she may not be there.
Mm-hmm.
Come back later. you don't want to come back too late because you don't want to disturb
Dinner.
dinner, or they might be, if they're farmers, they go to bed early,
Right.
get up early, so you don't want to really mess with them too much because you don't want to disturb them, and then obviously they don't want them to say no,
Right.
and be like, well, no, you've been bothering me.
You got to catch them at a good time.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You don't want to stop them when they're out combining their farm,
Right.
because now
Yeah, you're driving out in the middle of the field when you don't even have permission, or
Yeah.
walking out there or whatever.
yeah, and then you're just
Pissed them off.
yeah, you've made them stop working.
Yeah.
They only have so much daylight.
Now you got to be out there later.
Yeah, so you got to find that happy medium and go from there. But just if you don't have Onyx, which everybody should have it now, but I would knock on doors and hunt that person down until I got either a yes or a no.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's a no.
I'm sure everybody has stories of, like, I've had dogs chase me out of the house. Stupid decision on my part. They had a blue heeler, I think it was, sitting right next to the glass door,
Mm-hmm.
or a mesh door. I think it was mesh. Knock on the door and wake that dog up. Dog jumps 10 feet up in the air, looks at me, and bolts out that screen door. And I'm like jumping on top of my truck, all to come back to a big fat no from the farmer. It's like, dude, your dog just chased me down your driveway, and you're still going to tell me no? Like, what?
Yeah, I've had one where we were dealing with a farmer up there, and he says, "Oh, no, I can't let you hunt. But my wife leaves at 9. If you want to come in after that, go ahead."
Oh, man. You got to be smart on those decisions.
Yeah, and so the one guy, one time, I knock on his door, I find him. It took me a couple places of knocking,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a bunch of geese out in his field. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And then this was back in the day when they used to have all these decorations, and then they dress up the geese.
Yeah. The white goose out there. My grandma used to do the same thing.
And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And she goes, "What do they want to do?"
Oh,
I want to shoot the
man.
geese. No, So it was a big fat no.
Oh, man.
Like, well, she said no.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to because it's a hilarious story. So we're out scouting. It was me, my dad, and my uncle at the time. Well, not at the time, but we're driving, and there's this pond behind this guy's house. And we're pulling up to it, and all of a sudden you see like all these goose crossing signs and duckling crossing signs, and it's like, we're not even going to waste our time,
Yeah.
So they had one of those wide driveways. My dad backed straight out instead of going down like one of the sides. Well, they had a mailbox sitting right there. I was like, well, it's definitely going to be a no now. I mean, he backed right over top of it, and just it was a mess, man. But at the time, we're cracking up in the truck, and it was a whole thing. But I mean, even I feel like with permission wise, you hear all the time your buddies are out scouting or doing this, doing that, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't have time to go knock it." No, you're just nervous to go knock. Worst thing that people are going to say is no.
Yep.
Be polite. Step off the porch when you're talking to them. Most of these farmers or property owners just want to talk to people. It seems like.
Yeah, they spend all day in the combine, and
Right.
like first person that comes to talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't have to break. Like, what would be a tip with any tips on when you're talking to them?
Yeah, the first thing you do is, I see this a lot, and I don't know if it's a generational thing or whatnot, but you go up there, when we go out and we scout, we're going out, we're not putting on suits and ties and everything, but we're looking.
Not wearing camo and stuff either, right?
And so we'll go up and you introduce yourself with Onyx. You can say, "Hey, Mr.
Right.
Wilson, my name's Paul, and we're wondering if we could hunt your farm here with all these birds in it." And then he's either gonna be yes or no, or I got somebody else hunting it, or tell me more. What do you got? What are you trying to do? But give them space too. I've seen like a couple people go up and then they want to get like face to face with them,
right?
And getting in their personal space.
These people don't know you.
Yeah.
And you're just some random guy or girl showing up in the door.
I could be selling you encyclopedias
Right,
or whatever,
right.
but just give them their space, let them talk. Most of the time, they like want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But either they have somebody already hunting it or it's a big no. So, but even if and the biggest thing, like I've actually talked people into hunting them letting me hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Just by sitting there and talking to them about all kinds of other stuff.
Right.
They're like, oh, no, I don't like hunting. Oh, okay. You know, and you start talking about their
An old
tractors.
tractor or something.
Yeah, something like that. And the next thing you know, they're getting to know you a little bit. And they're like, well, you know.
Not that bad of a guy.
Yeah, you know. Well, yeah, go ahead.
We'll try it one time or
Yeah.
something, and then, we'll go from there
Yeah,
about it for the next.
And then so one time I had a big fat no, and the guy was like, yeah, no, I got too busy working on my tractor.
Mm-hmm.
So I go over there and I start giving him a hand. 10 minutes later, if
I
we
was
got
gonna
it fixed,
Yeah.
now we have permission.
That's one of the biggest tips I was going to say is, if you see something broke down or something, or just ask if you can help out with.
Mm-hmm.
I went to one of the property owners the other day, and he deer hunts next to us, and then we goose hunt his fields too. And I was like, listen, if like his wife, I think broke her arm, he said, and they're in their 80s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, if you need me to cut your grass or whatever, or come over here and help you guys, I'm whatever you guys need, you have my number. You can call me anytime, and the quickest day I can come over, I'll be over and do whatever you need. Just the small stuff like that, because like I said, they don't know you until you start talking to them guys, and they get to know you. They're gonna be real shy and nervous about letting some random guy or girl out there pulling the trigger and leaving a bunch of trash. And I guess that's the next thing too, is like, if you do get the permission,
You've got to treat it better than
right,
than when you got there.
and that's something to bring up to them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing, because more than likely nowadays, it seems like, whether it's an excuse from the farmer or not, the guy before you ruined it, and they don't let anybody else on it.
Exactly.
But you also got to figure out a way to make their minds switch back.
Yep.
And that's being open and upfront with them too is a huge thing with people or friends or whatever is going on, family, and because I've heard stories about people, you only can bring 2 people out, but they're bringing 10 people out.
Yeah.
Or this morning you walk down into the field and there's 15 guys out there for us. I'm like, holy smokes.
Yeah, and and the thing is most of the farmers don't need money. You come up, I'll give you $200 to hunt your property. No, well, they need hands. Most of them are, the farming family isn't the same as it was. They used to have 10 kids, and they'd all lend a hand somehow. But now they just don't have the people around. Right. So one time I was driving by and seeing a guy out there, and he was throwing hay bales up and moving the tractor a little bit farther, moving the hay bales up.
Old school way.
Yeah. And he was doing it one person at a time, And so I just stopped. Me and our buddies, we stopped. And we're like, hey, you need a hand? He's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Right.
And he's like, what can I pay you? And I was like,
let us goose hunt.
Yeah, let us goose hunt.
Right.
Absolutely. So it's not about money. A lot of these farmers, they have money and they don't need it.
The money,
they need help.
I feel like if you're offering money, it's not going to mean as much to you than going the route of, like you said, the hand or taking, like today, I took my sister out, my dad's buddy, my other buddy. It's not like some crazy thing. Half the time they just want to see you guys. I mean, once they get to know you, obviously, they just want to see you guys have a good time out there and obviously respect their property.
Yeah.
Totally forgot what I was just about to say about that. But I don't know. I think that just the biggest thing is sometimes I'll even start with, hey, I noticed there's a lot of, like in August, if you're out scouting for early season, notice there's a lot of pigeons out at the farm or something or whatever. Start small, gain that trust with them. Don't just go in there, hey, I want a goose hunt. Just, I mean, like we said, talk to them. Start small. Can I just shoot pigeons out there? Just me and my dog. I want to train my dog or something. Let them gain the trust and then go from there with everything,
And that's the thing. Start small.
Right.
If you say, hey, I want to train my dog with pigeons, you and your dog.
Yeah. Yeah, not 10 other buddies.
10 other guys.
Right.
And that becomes overwhelming. And then it's like herding cats. You got one guy over here shooting this way, and that way. And then
next thing you know, a barn's getting shot up or whatever.
And then you've ruined it all.
Right.
But and another thing, too, is even if the farmer doesn't want money, doesn't, every year we would give gift cards or honey baked hams or something in that form.
Just a respect. Yeah. I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're enjoying and killing birds on their property.
Yeah.
Respect it like it was yours.
Yeah. Like we said, the biggest things are, don't get discouraged, because what do they say? Like 10 no's or whatever, there's going to be a yes in there. Like you're going to get that. And with waterfowl growing and growing and growing, like people want to get out into the fields. They want to be out there instead of the water because the water's so packed, which we'll talk about, with opening day coming up, which will probably be past already by the time it drops. But how to respect the people next to you on the water and stuff. But, it's just the respect goes a long way with those farmers and the property owners and stuff. But and like I said, just don't get discouraged on a no and don't scout anymore or whatever. Just keep on going.
Yeah.
So you get the field, you get permission after the 10th no, and it's, let's say, a wheat field, little green stubble growing up here and there. It's getting a little overgrown. It's cut probably, I don't know, last week of July, let's say. And I don't know, we'll say there's 100 birds in it. What's your next thought process?
Well, now that you've got to figure out what your best hide options are. First off, you're going to find out where you're going to enter and exit the field. And the farmer tells you don't drive out there, don't drive out there.
Right. Don't
drive out
Don't think that he's just saying that because it's wet or whatever. If he says no, it's
no. It's no. I'm sorry. It might be inconvenient to pull 6 dozen full bodies out there or whatever.
Right.
But if he gives you permission, he says don't drive out in the field, you don't drive out in that field.
And not to cut you off, but if, say, you got a 4-wheeler, bring that up. If he says don't drive the truck, say, do you mind if I just drive the 4-wheeler out there? It's not going to be as heavy. It's not going to be leaving as big of ruts if you do sink or whatever. He says no, like you said, don't go in. But that 4-wheeler can change a whole thing there. Because a lot of the time, they don't care about the 4-wheeler. They just care about the trucks.
Yep. But yeah, and then so I find my, where the birds, obviously you found out where the birds were roosting. You're going to look at the variations in wind, like on a north wind day, what would we set up on? Are we going to be able to set up on an edge hide? Or are we going to have to have layouts in the middle of the field? Or what are we going to be able to do? Usually a wheat field's pretty overgrown. And by the time goose season rolls around, you got a lot of green stubble, especially around here.
Yeah.
Green stubble coming up and weeds and stuff like that. So you got a good chance for a layout hunt. And the size of the field.
That's a big thing, yeah.
If you have a 5-acre wheat field, you're kind of limited to what you can do,
I feel like if you had a 5-acre wheat field, you could get away with the tree line hide or the fence line hide way easier than, like, with, I guess, like the field that we hunted this morning. That was a pretty big field.
Oh, yeah.
And, we got away with it, but at the same sense, we were in a spot where it was convenient for the birds to see us, and we weren't tucked all the way back in a corner somewhere where they couldn't see us or didn't want to fly over that area, But, yeah, size of the field's huge.
Yeah. And then, you find out where you can enter the farm because, a lot of them have ditches around it. There's going to be a farm lane where they get their equipment in and out of. And then from there, you're going to scout the birds and where they've been landing. That's where you really want to set up, unless you obviously can't.
Right.
And then you're going to move your operation to wherever you can to the closest.
Yeah.
And then you're going to make sure, like, hey, where can we hide the vehicles when we're here?
That's a big thing, too, because a lot of people don't think of that.
No, okay, so here's the farm entrance. How far I always practice. I try to get the trucks and trailers and stuff as far away as possible. Yeah. Obviously, sometimes you can't. Size of the field or whatever. But that's what, and then just kind of watch what the birds are doing when they approach that field. Are they, swinging around 3 or 4 times and jumping in? Just see what their mood is. And then, usually they'll start in the center and they'll work their way towards the road or toward the houses. Once they get more towards the houses and roads, the more closer they come to humans.
Getting out of there.
They've almost ate everything out of that field because now that's the last of the food. So by watching them behaviors, all that kind of stuff, that's when you decide you're going to go into hunt it, you have to take all that in consideration and put yourself in the best spot for that.
And that kind of goes back to even the scouting aspect of it all too. Like my biggest thing and why I kind of double-edged sword because you're spending all the money driving around, which is a big thing. So the best thing to do is like grab a buddy or carpool. You drive this day, you drive that, whatever it is. But it's almost like I don't trust people at scouting sometimes because it's like you can't just drive by a field, see that there's birds there, and then just keep driving by. Like I want to see, if I don't know the area, I want to see where they're roosting at. I want to see exactly where they're at in the field. Are they spread out? Are they tight? Like what am I? And that kind of goes back to where I'm going to hide, how many decoys, how the decoys are going to be set up.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way too with, actually just paying attention, giving it another 5-10 minutes just to see
The details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. And we might have talked about this last time you were here. I feel like you got your like interior geese, like your little geese that, your flight birds that are just right on top of each other, it seems like, which obviously that could be with grain in the field or whatever as well. And then you got like your giants that just want to be spread out.
Yeah.
What birds are you hunting that day?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that can also go a long way with.
And that just goes to this. This year we had a place where we've been hunting. Can't kick the birds out of it. We've hunted it several times now, but every time, and they're local resident geese, but they ball up just like lessers.
Really?
Every time they come in the field. I mean, I took a picture of it one day, and there was probably 80 geese within 20 yards of each other. Just a big ball. I mean, this is from day one till the last time we hunted it. So we've tried we've hunted them several different ways on this farm, layouts, edge hides, right out in the middle, all that stuff, and we try to set up a realistic spread. And then one of the last times we hunted it, we kind of just balled up the decoys and
just like
they are,
right?
And they decoyed the best that day.
Yeah.
So matching the hatch, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. That's huge. And that's a thing too, where I think a lot of people overlook, which we're kind of getting off topic with the hide and stuff, but what people don't understand is like they want the J or X or whatever kind of spread. Like your most realistic spread, like today we didn't have really a pattern to it or anything. We kind of just threw them out there, but the more realistic, the better they're going to decoy and come into you. I don't care if I'm shooting birds at 25, 30 yards out that are actually decoying compared to birds that, are almost flaring away that you're pulling up on them at 40 yards. I'd rather have them decoy and to realistic and match the hatch, like you said, kind of spreads.
Yeah.
They'll just do it so much better for you.
Yeah, definitely. And then that's just like I said, matching the hatch and just seeing what you got out there. And that place continued to build all season long, all season.
Is it hayfield?
It was alfalfa.
Really?
Yeah.
See, we never see geese down here in alfalfa.
Yeah. Well,
hardly ever, I should say.
It's some of the only available farms up there right now.
I gotcha.
So
it's weird. Like I was talking to the guys on the way back over this way, and the birds up there compared to down here. Like you guys, I've been seeing videos of you guys shooting birds at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning or whatever time shooting light is. Like first light. Here, their birds aren't getting off till 7:30, 8 o'clock some days. It just seems like it's a whole different world up there.
Oh, and it's only a few hours away, and it's a whole. I mean, you can go down the road, and it's a different birds. You know? It's different, and you just have to learn. I mean, some of the hardest birds you're going to hunt are the ones that are in your backyard.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you can't like just listen to and learn is like the bird. How they're flying, what they're doing in the air. Like you got to be understanding of the body language of the bird, because that'll make you twice as good a hunter just by knowing that.
Oh yeah. You see all these YouTube videos or Instagram, and the guys are blowing the calls and the birds are decoying. Well, if we tried doing that today,
no,
it would have scared them right out of the county. So you just gotta temperature check them.
For sure,
and see what they're doing that day.
Which today was tough too, because of the fact that like we, call to them a little bit, listen to where they're at, see what they're doing, kind of call to them a little bit, because can't flag obviously. I don't even know why I asked that question this morning, because it's like, what are you going to see 20 yards? They're going to be right in our lap at that point.
At that point, you might actually scare them.
Yeah, right. But let's go back to that hide real quick with let's say you got a 50-acre wheat field on with the 100 birds in it, and they're in the middle, but in the middle there's you got a pipe out there, a drain pipe that's sticking up, and there's weeds out there. How are you hiding in a field like that?
Well, it just depends on how many I'm going to try to take out there to hunt.
That's a big thing too.
If we have 3 or 4 guys, I'll try to get away with an A-frame right there on that pipe. If not, if we have more than 6, I'm going to try to lay out. Yeah.
And obviously brushing is just the biggest thing.
Oh yeah,
because people take that way too lightly.
Oh gosh,
it's terrible.
Yeah, it's. I see some of these people, and you don't mean to, I don't want to be mean, but it's like did you even stubble
Right.
your blind?
Yeah.
But what the birds flared at 40 yards today. What are
Why
we doing wrong?
why are the birds flaring? Well, have you seen your blind?
Yeah,
I mean, I could see you like clear as day. They're not mudded or not
No.
anything. You know.
and that's a big thing too. You know, a lot of people don't realize that when they buy that blind right from Cabela's or
Mhm.
Rogers
It's
or
got that
whatever,
shine to it.
it has that shine. So you have to mix up a little bit mud bath and broom
Yeah.
them down and all that stuff. Take that shine off of it.
And I've even heard that with snow covers as well. What is it? If you wash them or something, or certain like soaps or something, it'll take that UV the snow covers are not like a white bed sheet, which white bed sheets can work obviously, but
Mhm.
the actual snow covers have like some UV lighting or something that. Have you ever heard anything about that?
I've heard about it. I don't know which way to go with it. I don't know if they see the UV or they don't see the UV
yeah,
or whatever it is, but there is some effect to it that definitely,
you can tell a difference.
yeah, it has like a purple glow to it.
Yeah, purple, bluish.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah. So I don't know which way. I don't know. I know they see it or don't see it, and
Mhm.
whatever one it is, if you're doing one or the other, it's bad.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Even today though, I was kind of nervous with, the guys coming out and brand new A-frame,
Mm-hmm.
nothing on it, and it's like, all right, dude, it's we got like, I don't know, 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's like, we have nothing on that. And they're like, yeah, we got it, don't worry. It's like, all right, man, like we can barely see with lights on in general. We had the light bar on the trailer and everything, and it's
Yeah.
like, what's the point of even having this thing? And we had the disco party out there
Yeah.
this morning with a portable street light or
I
whatever
don't
that
think
thing
I've ever
was.
seen one of those, but that's pretty convenient.
It was pretty sweet the first time. We used it last week for the first time, and I was like, you grab 2 of those or whatever, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. But, no, I felt like our hide was, I mean, even on the sunniest day, our hide would have been perfect.
Yeah,
It was
I think,
perfect.
Yeah, it was good.
I should have took a picture of it. I wish I would have.
Yeah, it was good.
It was just
For
blended.
that many A-frames and that many people to hide, it was good.
Yeah.
It was brushed in good. That's the
That's-
biggest thing. People don't understand that is
Yeah.
the blending in, the brushing in.
That
hide.
and if you are hunting A-frames or layout blinds, just keeping your head down.
Mm-hmm.
If you're calling, that's one thing. And if you're not calling, just look at the guy calling
Mm-hmm.
and where he's looking, which obviously today was tough because
Yeah.
we couldn't see. But just look at the guy calling because he's on the birds,
Mm-hmm.
and then just follow what he's doing. Layouts is one thing too, but I feel like if you're in a layout or even in the A-frame, you'll say, shoot him on the left or shoot him on the right or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Don't be pie facing out there. I mean, if you want the birds tight, keep your head down and just trust the guy calling the shot.
Yep. Yeah, and I know when we talked about a little bit this morning, we go back to the hunting a traffic field.
Mhm.
You're trying to convince them that this is the new spot to party.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they've been in the farm or the field for
Yeah.
several days, it's just like anybody. You come home from work one day and you've got a new couch or love seat in your living room. You absolutely notice that right when you come in. So your hide is the biggest thing, especially when you're hunting the X, I would say,
Right.
because they know they know something's wrong.
And that even goes, with the decoy spread that you'd be running. You see 100 birds out there. That doesn't mean throw 30 dozen dive bombs or
Mm-hmm.
you can never throw too less of decoys. I feel like you could always go too high though.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the lower numbers are the more realistic and they're more comfortable with that. You start throwing like 100, 200 decoys out there, whatever it is. They're like, when did you guys show up? You guys weren't back on the water just a little bit ago, and they just kind of get real weary off of that.
Yeah, unless you're, it goes back to matching the hatch, unless you're hunting an area that has 200,000 geese on
Right.
it, throwing out
Fergus Falls or something
Yeah.
like that.
40 dozen decoys isn't warranted.
Right, right.
I mean, you can get away with 2 or 3 dozen.
For newer hunters and stuff, or somebody that's just getting into the field hunting aspect of everything, what would be your go-to like decoys?
Decoys, it just depends. I mean, it depends because if you don't have access to a trailer,
Mm-hmm.
full bodies can be kind of a
Right.
pain in the butt to travel around with. You
Well,
can
that's how
only
you
fit
get full free Bigfoots.
Yeah.
Remember? That's how we got the one.
Yeah, You know, so you don't have a trailer to pull all those full bodies around with. You know, I mean, Dive Bomb or any of the other silhouette. I mean, you can put 5 dozen in a bag, a couple $100. You've got a pretty decent decoy spread for starting out.
Yeah.
You know, and you can throw it in the bed of your truck. Your couple blinds and that bag in
At
the bed of your
home,
truck.
it's not taking up a bunch of space or anything.
Yeah, so you don't have to get a trailer, and you know, and if you're starting out, you're kind of tipping your toes in the whole thing anyway. I mean, waterfowling is not a cheap
No, not
sport.
at all.
It's not like deer hunting. I mean, deer hunting is not cheap as well, but
Right.
But you know, you can
You buy a bow, once, but you got new arrows every time. But waterfowl, you're going through 2-3 cases a year.
Yeah.
And
you know how many times you know anybody that's hunting water, you've definitely sprung a leak in your wader somewhere.
Sure.
You know,
another
so
$300-400 on the hole.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a cheap sport. So if you're kind of just dipping your toes in the water, I would suggest that's probably the easiest and most effective way to get into the game, and then go from there. If it's something that you really want to, when we first started, it was my brother and I and our buddy, and we'd all buy like a half dozen Bigfoots. You know, we'd get some for Christmas. We'd do this or that. You know, and then we built our spread. It wasn't something you just built overnight.
No, you can't. You can't just throw 10K at it. You know what I mean?
You can.
Well, yeah,
if
you
you
can.
have it,
Right,
but,
right.
You know, obviously, for most people getting into it, it's an expensive sport. So
For sure.
You know, I would say the silhouettes, and then go from there. If you enjoy it and you're starting to rack up and accumulate a couple more farms here and there, then go ahead, invest in a
Start a
trailer,
little bigger,
get
yeah.
into something that you can roll around with.
Right.
That will be able to hold those full bodies. But
One thing that I'll say too is, if you are getting into waterfowl in general, and I've seen it more in the fields because just we don't hunt, public land a ton. I mean, hardly ever really, but being courteous of your neighbor or a person that you're sharing the property with, communication and not setting up on somebody. I mean, I've had guys come into the field at 7:00 at shooting light and say, well, we're hunting with you or 100 yards away from you, so whatever you want. And it's like, well, I guess you're hunting with us. We have snow covers. They don't have anything. First flock comes in, they blast one of my decoys. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me right now? But, like, just being courteous, like just showing respect to the other guys. Like, yesterday I called up a guy that shared permission on another farm. That's why I was kind of in between. We were going to hunt this morning. He's like, no, we plan on hunting it tomorrow afternoon. No big deal. I'll let you guys have it. I don't want to screw you guys up. And that's a huge thing that can go a long way in this waterfowl stuff.
Yeah. And then, when you do that, they're more likely to do the same thing back for you.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't screw you over and it doesn't screw them over, and everybody can and do it and have a good time doing it.
Yeah. And it goes even back to, say, 2 guys show up at the field one day. No farmer in their right mind wants a phone call at 4 or 5 in the morning about 2 guys arguing who got there first or who's going to shoot these geese. Just work together.
Yeah.
Figure it out. If you got to hunt together, you got to hunt together. Or that's why I always try to have a plan A, B, and C. You know what I mean? Like, Grant, we never really run into that problem, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to be happening. Things change overnight or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing.
It is a big thing, and back in my younger days, I'd be confrontational. Like, we have permission. Well, we have permission, and then it just got to the point, like you said, the farmer's like, nobody has permission.
Right.
So either join forces or, you're generally not going to be able to keep coming back to that farm.
And that's some of the hardest farmers to gain trust back in is the guy that got woken up maybe a few times earlier or whatever and had problems, and now they don't want any hunting on it. Like, those guys are tough to get back on the bandwagon for letting people go out there and shoot,
Yeah.
But we got early season or duck season coming up. What's your thoughts on that? You guys looking pretty good up there, duck number wise or anything?
We don't usually shoot a lot of ducks up there. I mean, we'll shoot wood ducks first thing in the morning, and the corn when the silage fields, and handful of mallards here and there. We have some farms that are traditionally pretty good,
better than others,
but you're not gonna shoot a 10-man limit of mallards. We'll scratch out a few. I think last year. I think the most we had was 15 or 16 ducks
Really?
in one day. But it's not real.
You guys see a lot of numbers up there though? Like
Not
just
really. Not
more
really.
like on the bay side.
A little bit more over towards that way, but not really.
That's
it's
surprising,
yeah,
honestly.
It is, but yeah, there's not a whole lot.
Because like last year was super slow for us down here. Usually we'll have a good, 1, 2, 3 good mallard shoots in the field. Last year they didn't come down. It seemed like until the last 2 weeks of season.
Oh yeah, November. I remember it was right after deer season, like gun season, and then the ducks showed up.
Yeah.
The big mallards showed up, and then it was on. But it's just weather dependent too.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to even looking for the future while you're looking for fields too, around like bodies of water. I mean, that's the thing to look forward or look into is this body of water freeze? Is this going to keep birds here in the wintertime? And if it doesn't freeze, it's going to be guarantee you loaded come late season. And it's another thing to kind of look into a little bit.
And another thing too is like, okay, so everybody knows, the cornfields. That's where the geese and ducks generally. But is it a dairy farm where they're going to cut silage, or is it field corn where they're going to wait until it's, sometimes middle of November before they take it off? You know? So having that and knowing roughly when they're going to take that corn or that crop off is to give you a good idea. Okay, so they're going to take the corn off late in the season. Will it be cold? Will the big reservoir be froze up, or am I going to be closer to the river?
Right.
Or whatever, moving water.
Depending on where you're at.
Yeah, depending on where you're at. So with that, you've got, I guess, stages in the season where the birds might be. Early season, they're going to be around the silage and all that stuff.
Right.
And once they eat that and the field corn starts coming off, they're going to move towards that.
Yeah.
So
that's you guys shoot a lot of birds in the beans up there?
We have.
Have you?
Yeah.
We shoot a lot, it seems like, in the beans down here.
Yeah.
I mean, this year we got a lot more beans than like last year, but I absolutely hate hunting in the beans.
Oh, it's tough.
Can't stand it, man.
It's tough.
I mean, visibility, it's in between. I mean, the decoys definitely pop out there, but compared to corn, obviously, it's. I'd rather hunt a cornfield next to a bean field, even if they're feeding in the beans right there. Well, I mean, I know you said earlier too, with they might be in this field and they're not hitting that field right next door, but with visibility is such a big thing when it comes to this field hunting stuff. You can't hunt. I don't care if there's 1,000 birds in a dirt field. You can't just jump in. They don't even know where your decoys are. All they'll hear is calling, but the decoys blend right into that dirt.
Yeah, and then but with the bean field, they pop.
Yeah,
and then I've had where we've been right up against the beans and layouts, like the farmer left a couple rows, and we'll put the layouts right up to the edge of the beans that are still standing, and just put as much of that leftover bean stubble that you can on the blinds.
That's terrible too, brushing it on the beans, because what do you do? You know what I mean? There's nothing out there.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. I mean, we generally try to find, and I know I haven't really heard of a lot of people doing it, is just edges of the field, whether it's a grass line or like we did this morning, just somewhere where it's broken up, or like today we ran I think 4 A-frames or something. You're making your own like ditch right there. If they're there, obviously that's a little bit harder to get away with, but you just, I don't know, I just hate beans, put it that way.
Yeah, but if it's your only option,
for sure, sure,
you gotta hunt it.
Yeah. Even like with the scouting aspect, like that farm that I was just talking about too, once that silage gets cut, like I know it's on, like you said, the different staging times of the year. I know I'm bouncing back and forth a little bit here, but the staging times of the year, I'll look at my phone, like you just said too, a little while ago, and last year it was cut this time, and then we really started getting onto them. You'll find those little spots and locations where you're going to look into more. You're going to travel here instead of wasting your time here scouting, and I don't know.
When you're chasing them around a lot, when you have a lot of, for lack of a better word, clients and people you're taking out, you've got to find those bigger pockets of birds, and you got to be able to hunt them.
Yeah.
So if you know that crops aren't off over here,
Right.
don't waste your time going over there.
Yeah.
You know, wait until the crops come off. 'cause
It's
you're
all
just wasting
about
your time.
having that plan in
Mhm.
your head. You know, if you're going out there for, you know, what's out that way, I know it's going to be good out there. I've been trying to get so and so's like permission through so and so.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, check it out. But you know, if you're looking for birds, obviously you're not going to
Yeah.
find them,
Yeah.
and that means don't go out knocking on. I mean, obviously do it, but you can't go out in the middle of October and expect to get a bunch of fields out there because there's been guys out there since August or even, you know, after the season ended last year, knocking on doors and
Yeah.
just getting permission and re-upping their permission or whatever it may be. You got to get out there early.
And here in Michigan, you know, with all the deer hunting that goes on, October 1st we start deer season, so they're generally not going to allow you to come out there and
Yep.
start goose hunting. And
Which I've seen so many big bucks out there goose hunting,
Yeah.
and the deer just walking right by like they do not care.
they do not, but you know it matters to them.
Oh,
and,
for
and,
sure.
and it's their property. So,
Right.
but if you haven't acquired it by then, it makes it a little even tougher.
Yeah.
Because once deer season starts and they've seen the big 8 or whatever out there,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
locked in on that deer and they want to shoot them.
It was just running by. I was running from a car, or we got hit 2 miles on the road.
Yeah.
And it's coming through your property, and they're all excited about it.
yeah.
I guess another thing that I wanted to talk about too is being different from everybody else
Mhm.
in the field. You know, we ran I think 3 dozen today, which you know it's a smaller spread. I
Mhm.
mean, which if you got it, you got it. That's all you can use. But you see all the time, like we talked about this morning as well. All the time, you got those guys on the water that are throwing 2 to 3 dozen AV and X's out there,
Mm-hmm.
2 spinners, and that's it.
Yep.
You know, throw a goose spread out there in the water. Or we ran 10 or 8 or 10 decoys out there last weekend when we shot them up in the sweet corn, and it'd just be different. You know,
Yep.
whether it be coots or black ducks or swans on the water or whatever. Just
Yeah.
be different from everybody else, and I guarantee you're going to shoot a lot more birds that way too.
Yep. Yeah. You know, just being different, having a different spread, like you were talking about earlier, the X or the U, the V or the
Right.
J pattern. You know, I don't know how many times I've seen ducks in a J pattern.
Let me
On the
think
water.
about this for a second. Yeah, I don't know if I.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, I know it's standard practice and it's what we've been taught and everything, but the more realistic you make it,
Throw some pods out.
yeah,
Throw some
give
whatever.
them a little landing area,
Right.
and that's where you want to kill the birds.
Yep.
But ducks are never in a
No.
straight pattern somewhere. Geese,
The
same.
ducks aren't in a row here.
Yeah,
they're not in a
exactly.
row.
So you know, you go out there and you see ducks flying over, and you got 4 spreads that are in the classic U pattern,
Right.
And you just got a handful of decoys and a natural.
They're gonna come to you.
They're gonna, yeah, you got a better shot, I think.
And that's why I even bring up the coot decoys too. How many times have you been out in a marsh or something, and you know there's a raft of coots out there,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden the mallards are sky high, and they're just dumping right
Oh,
into
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, them coots are like some dangerous things that people don't look at.
Oh yeah,
They are way overlooked.
yeah, that and crane or heron decoys and things like that. Just something different.
Yeah.
A
Because I know
swan
you guys
decoy.
ran what sandhill crane decoys last year, was it?
a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Was it? And then you guys crushed them, no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just even like something like that, simple.
Yeah. So what we did was it was a really short stubble silage field,
Okay.
and so we had the really low profile, basically the sleeping bag type layout blinds.
Yep.
It's just basically a rough structure, and then the doors just folded over you.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like a sleeping bag is what I call them, but I don't know what the technical.
Oh,
name.
I can't hunt in those because I fall asleep instantly.
Yeah.
So you can call it a sleeping bag. Yeah.
But then you put the crane decoys all around you to break up your outline of your blinds and everything, and they,
Gone.
Yeah, they don't even know what hit them.
What is your opinion on because I've never had really luck with layout blinds and decoys around me. How do you guys usually run that?
So when we first started years and years and years ago, we always had the decoys. We just basically laid in the decoys.
Right.
So we had the decoys all around the blinds and everything, and that worked really good. We had birds land on our foot bags.
Oh, really?
Things like that. Now, once they started getting more used to those blinds,
Yeah.
we had to push the decoys out farther,
Yeah.
take the tension off us, because they would find you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially with no wind days, they would find you in there.
Yeah.
And so you push the decoys out a little bit farther. Now with everything coming back and they're using more A-frames and everything, I think you can kind of start bringing those decoys back in and mix them around your blind.
I gotcha.
I don't think they're as tuned into it as much anymore.
I mean, I guess it goes back to knowing what kind of bird you're hunting as
Yeah.
well. I mean, if they're new birds or local birds, I mean, you just said you hunted a field 6, 7, 8 times, or whatever, and you hunted them differently every single time.
Yep.
I mean, whether that's decoy or
But that
hide
wasn't.
or
We weren't
whatever.
hunting them every other day. We were giving them time to
Right.
build back up in there again, and
And that's a big thing too. I talked to some of these guys and they're like, oh yeah, we got a gold mine over here. This pond loads up, and I plan on going out there every single day, and we're gonna smash them. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, give it a week. Like, go in there, you burn them up one day or whatever. Give it a week or 2 weeks, and then go back in there because you'll have good results again.
Yeah, and and especially like a loaf pond, you're gonna. The thing is you don't have to get out there first thing. You get out there, so hot days, like we're gonna get ready to come into, and the beginning of the season, you go out there, 7, 8 o'clock. There's no birds on it. You set up. They'll start coming back and trickling back. By midday, they're all back in there, and that's just what you hunt, especially on those early September days.
Yeah. Oh, that's
when it's pretty warm in the afternoon. I mean, it'll heat up real quick.
That's a big thing though too, is knowing the difference between your roost ponds and your loaf ponds though too. I mean, that's just doing your research and knowing when the birds are there. And I mean, are they flying out at night? Because I mean, we've all seen birds flying into the roost at dark, and you're like, where do they come from? You know, I mean, that's a big thing to look at and to understand, because if you blow those roosts up, you're done.
Yeah.
You're losing all your birds right there.
The roost busters.
Yeah, gotta love them. Gotta love them. I wanted to kind of touch on like the social media aspect of like newer hunters too. Like, I think that is one of the biggest things that's, obviously there's a lot of pros, like this will be on social media here and we'll post it and this, that, and the other. But there's so many negative things as well. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, don't get me wrong. But what's your kind of outlook on social media and what it's doing to like the younger kids? Because, every day I feel like I'm hearing a new story on, like we talked about, people getting in arguments and fights in the field, and it's just I feel like it's all over like pile pictures or whatever it is.
Yeah. Social media is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's great if you're owning a business. It's free advertising. You gets it out there. If you're running, a guide service, it's perfect. It kind of gives you a preview of what to expect, kind of, but it's a highlight reel.
Yeah.
It's a highlight reel. It's not
real life.
It's not.
I mean, that's the biggest thing to look at.
It's just a snapshot of a couple days, maybe.
Yeah.
As an outfitter and guides, we're not going to take you. We're going to try to put you on the best we can. There's a few things that we can control. There's the equipment that you're using. Where we're going to put you. We're going to put you in the best spot that we have.
We're not going out there to waste our own time.
We're not going to. Okay, and we're going to use the best equipment. You're going to have some of the best callers around and knowledge.
Yeah.
But the one thing you can't control is the birds or whatever you're hunting.
We talked about it last night. I think it's hunting, not killing.
Yeah, you know. And so if you do get those great days where you can stack them up, hey, celebrate it,
Things change overnight, man.
Yeah, celebrate it, Go ahead, have fun, shoot them up. But it's not going to be that way every day.
I mean, going back to that, though, too, it's like, everybody's just like, man, you guys are killing the birds. You guys are killing the birds. You guys are doing this, doing that. Like, I can never do it. And it's like, okay, how much work are you putting in, though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one sees all the scouting trips or the, there's days where I just go and talk to the farmer, and just keep that relationship going or whatever it may be. I mean, I walked in here today and was talking to the property owner that we hunted today. It's just, there's so much work and time and money spent that nobody even understands unless you're out there doing it.
Yeah. It's like these guys, a pro quarterback, he goes out there on Sunday or Saturday and throws and has a great game. You didn't see all that work that they did.
Yeah, they're not going home to sit there for the rest of the week and then come next week.
They're in the gym 4 or 5 days a week, recuperating. They're going. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And especially when season's here, we've got guys going in this direction to scout, and you're putting upwards to $50-$60 in gas in a
nowadays,
vehicle a day.
70-80 nowadays.
Just in a morning scout.
Right.
And, like a perfect example was a couple days ago, I went and sat on this farm in the morning. It was a foggy morning like this. Never heard one goose, didn't see a goose. within 5 miles of this field. One of the other guys went and scouted it in the evening. It was loaded.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean you didn't see them here? They were not there. Things change from hour to hour.
It's crazy.
You know, day to day, hour to hour. You know, so even though you didn't see them there in the morning, you got to go back in the afternoon. And so, again, that's all the work behind the scenes stuff that you have to do to be successful. I mean, you're just not going to be successful just showing up.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I said, we seen those birds in there Wednesday that we hunted today, and I didn't see them the rest of the week. So I was like, dude, I don't know if you should come up. I think you should probably hunt that field that you were telling me about. And you're like, nope, I'm coming, dude. I was like, all right, hopefully breakfast is good in the morning, because that might be the most entertainment we're getting. Besides Jimmy choking on whatever he was choking on in the blind, man. I was like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, he was trying to hold back a cough because there's birds
yeah,
coming or
like,
something.
You just breathe, man. It's fine.
I'm
I'm not doing mouth to mouth today, all right? Good Lord, man.
But
that was funny.
That was, we had a lot of guys hunting today, but everybody was on the same page. Especially at setup.
Yeah.
You know, you had guys getting brush, you had guys setting up the blinds, you had guys doing decoys, it was a well orchestrated chaos actually, you know, but
it is kind of overwhelming seeing, like you mentioned this morning, it was a used car lot over here. What's going on? You know, because we had however many cars in there.
7 or 8 pickups out there.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Like, people hear about hunting these bigger groups, whatever, and it's like, I really don't mind them. Because everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows you got to put the work in, whether it be setting up the A-frame. Like, what's nice about the group that I hunt with is everybody knows their role. Everybody knows, I'm probably going to move the decoys 10 times, so you're wasting your time if you're putting the decoys out there. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So just focus on the blind, and I'll get the rest. But, I mean, everybody just knows what's going on, and communication, like we said before, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, it definitely was... Like, what in the world did I get myself into with this many people? Because I don't think I've ever hunted that with that many people. But you make the best out of it.
Hunted more than that was in a standing corn hide.
Yeah, that's so easy.
Yeah,
so easy.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever hunted that many in A-frames.
No, and it was. I mean, like I said, it worked out good. The hide was good.
Yeah.
When besides the second flock, they kind of skirted us or whatever it was. I don't know. But the first group decoyed perfectly, and I don't know. Everything this morning was good that we could control.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't control that fog.
Can't control the frog, and then the wind switched a couple times on us too. What wind we did switch a couple times, and so it is things you can control. You went well. Other things, I mean, we got birds, but
like I said, you put I'm not guiding obviously out there, but it's I'm still not going out there and wasting my time in a field that I don't think that there's even a bird around. You only can do what you can do.
Yeah, and being passionate about something is the biggest thing. And like, I don't know about you, but I played a lot of sports in school, and I always wanted to be competitive. I want to be the best I could be, and that's the same approach I take to this.
Yeah,
the hunting aspect of it. I'm not going out there just to play,
No, I'm going out there to do it.
To win.
Right,
and
right.
Obviously, some days you win, some days you lose.
And you just got to take them losses and learn from them.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. When you lose, you take the lessons that were given to you.
And that's not going on another tangent here, but you throw an A-frame or a blind out in the field, like you learn that, it was sunny that day, so it casted a shadow, and then the birds didn't want to land out there. Take those tips off of those losses and just gain knowledge off that, because you're in the long run, you're just going to be a better hunter overall.
Yeah, and take those chances.
Yeah.
A lot of times these younger, newer people are like, well, I don't know, man, I don't know. Take that chance.
Right.
You're only going to learn by doing it.
That was me this morning with how many decoys are on. I was like, dude, I don't know, 3 dozen looks kind of tiny, but it was good.
Yeah,
it is crazy though that you can run, say, 2 dozen decoys out there and make 2 dozen look like a hell of a lot more though too, with just spreading it out and not bunching them all up.
Yep. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that people just, if they don't have immediate success, they think it's a failure. They're done.
Yeah.
And we need more people to get into this sport, because unfortunately it's not deer hunting.
Right.
It's a lot of people the hunters that do hunt are deer hunters, or small game hunters, or whatever. It seems like there's a lot of waterfowlers.
There's really not. I think the numbers keep on going down every year.
They're always going down. So we need more people to get involved in it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. You're like, oh, now you got more competition out there, but this sport, it needs to grow and continue to grow. And it's, I mean, for people that are passionate about it,
Right.
you and I, we need it to continue to grow and that future to be there. Somebody that can pass it on to when we're done.
And that's the biggest thing. Like today, like that passion I have, it's like, you see me, I didn't even unpack my gun this morning. And it wasn't because I wasn't like thinking we weren't going to kill anything. I'd rather, seeing them birds work and stuff like that was just insane to me. I love that stuff. You know, like that, I just won. You know what I mean? I won, and I want to just watch this. I don't care about pulling the trigger. I'd rather have that guy that we brought today that never has gone before get his first goose. Or last week we brought 4 kids out, and one of the kids is running out there chasing after the dog, and they're trying to race to get the goose. I mean, those are the things that I like. And everybody that's like, can I bring my kid? Yeah, I don't care. Like I we need that, you know.
Yeah, we need that to keep passing it along.
Yeah, because it's like we said, it's draining slowly, and I think that's the biggest thing for this podcast too. It's learning the right ways and not getting frustrated with certain things that happen, and like we've been talking about, just taking losses and learning.
Yeah, you know, and kind of go to, not to jump too far ahead, but we have to have these people in place that can teach the new how to do it right.
Yeah,
you know, because a lot of times you'll see people get into it, and it goes with all kinds of hunting, not just waterfowl hunting.
Right.
But they didn't have their grandpa or their dad or somebody else to show them. They just like, oh, hey, this looks fun. Let's go do it. And then they try it out themselves, which is great.
Yep. They're just doing it completely wrong.
But they're just, you know, they're setting up 200 yards from the next guy and sky busting.
And they just don't know.
And they
That's
just
the
don't
biggest
know.
thing, right.
Yeah, they
It's not like
didn't
they're
have
doing it on
somebody there
purpose.
to teach them.
Right.
You know, so I try, like you were saying too, you try to take out as many people and show them the right way to do it. The right way to harvest those birds, you know, how to hunt, how to respect the land, how to do all those things, because a lot of these kids, they don't see that anymore.
No,
you know?
not at all.
You know,
not at all. And that's what, like, when my buddy Trevor called me last night, he's like, hey, you mind if my buddy comes out? He's never gone. Absolutely, dude. If I need to figure out something else to hide or whatever, we'll figure it out. But yeah, bring him on out. But I do want to say too, big shout out to Glenn for you know, pranking you pretty good, I guess you want to say. Dude, I felt so bad. Well, we got to at least say something about it, because if he's listening or whatever, you know he's laughing right now if he is listening. So Glenn, the owner of GK, he texted me, he's like, hey, dude, you got to play along with this joke. I'm like, oh, God. All right, what is it? He's like, so I've been talking to Paul, and he said he's coming hunting with you and doing a podcast and stuff, and what did he say, that, you know, the views are probably going bad, or I'm getting desperate for content or whatever it was.
Can't take another hit in ratings.
Yeah. He's like, just tell him that you can't take another hit, and I don't know if it's going to be good for a second time within a year or whatever it is. And it's like, dude, Paul's going to hate me, but all right, say less, I'm doing it, man. So I send you the text message, and all of a sudden you send this long paragraph, and honestly, I didn't even read it, because I felt like, I was like, oh, dude, he's at home either pissed or like wondering what's even going on, because you probably just talked to Glenn and now I'm saying it to you. And I gave it a little bit of time. Glenn's blowing my phone up, wondering where the screenshots are and stuff. And then I call you. I was like, dude, I can't do it to you, and told you what happened and stuff. But
no, it's all good. We always prank on each other, and just Glenn and I, it's like brother. You know, brotherhood,
brotherly love, right there.
Brotherly love. And if you're not making fun of each other, then
right,
that's the way you show your love,
right?
But yeah, so it was funny. He sent me, so I sent him back. I'm like, hey, I see, because he had asked me to go hunt with him tonight.
Okay,
out there in the Thumb, and I said, well, I don't know. I already talked to Kyle, and I think I'm going to come down and hunt with him and do a podcast. He's like, oh, okay. And then that's where all this started. And I was like, hey, do you guys? So after you told me that, I said, hey.
Still got that spot?
You got another spot open there, because apparently Kyle's canceling on me. He doesn't want to do the podcast, and he's got too many guys and all this other stuff. And he just he's like, really? What did he say?
You know he's just dying behind the phone,
and
too.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's this, that, or the other thing. And I don't know,
man.
but I gotta go somewhere tomorrow. And he starts laughing, and he couldn't hold it any longer,
Because
we all exposed it.
he was like, because at first I was like, when you told me, like, did you tell him? I was like, no, I haven't told him nothing yet. So I texted him back. I was like, dude, he's gonna hate me, man. He's gonna be pissed. He's like, Glenn's like, oh, do you want me to? I'll end it right now if you want me to. I was like, because I didn't know if you guys were still going with it. I was like, no, you're good. Just keep it going. But he's just gonna be pissed off. He's like, no, you'll be fine. I don't know. It was.
Yeah, no, it's good times.
Yeah. But
It's all in fun.
speaking of that, though, I mean, big shout out to GK calls. I don't know. Did we miss anything?
I mean, with the duck opener coming.
Yeah, I guess we barely even touched that.
You know, there's a lot of things. A lot of people hunt the public marshes and the draws and all that stuff. And, you know, it's going back to what we were talking about, you know, having somebody to teach you how to do it right and do it the right way. You know, the etiquette out there is a big thing. And without, you know, sometimes it's the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
You know, and just being courteous to somebody. If you get out to a public spot and they've been there and you get beat to it,
You don't got to cuss the guy out for you being lazy or not waking up on time or whatever.
You know, you want to come out there 15 minutes before shooting time and throw out a spread and expect that opening day, you might as well.
Right.
I've spent many a nights in a marsh.
Oh, yeah.
You
But
just-
some of those nights are the best nights.
Oh, dude, we have some
they're
of the
a
best
blast.
stories. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Get out there at midnight, 11 o'clock at night, midnight. And
Like, I'm not sleeping. Next 10 minutes, you're passed out or yeah.
it's
I don't
some of
know.
the longest nights, but oh man, most time they pay out, you know. But
Oh,
then
for
you'll
sure.
have them guys that come out there 20 minutes before shooting time and like set up 80 yards from you.
Been
Like,
hunting this spot for 20 years. And
dude, come on, man.
Right.
You know, so always have a B, C, and a D plan.
For
you know,
sure.
You know, anytime, especially if you're hunting public land.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And that's the biggest spot to not get discouraged at.
yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't obviously want to go in there thinking down about it, but things are going to happen. Like we said, people don't know out there, and things are going to happen, but just figure out a way to overcome whatever's going on.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have even problems out there, and you're going to get aggravated even if it's your own stuff, I guess. You know, if you have boat problems, whatever, like stuff's going to happen. You just got to figure out a way to get past it and learn from it.
Yeah.
You know,
Be prepared.
yeah, and you know, obviously some spots are a little bit more pressure than others. But
Yeah. And, you know, it's opening weekend, so everybody's wanting to come out.
Right.
They want to shoot ducks. And within the next 2 weeks, you'll probably have the whole place to yourself.
Oh, for sure,
You know,
for sure.
and so don't get discouraged, but, you know, show some respect to the people that are out there. You know, don't shoot the swing ducks. You know, don't shoot directly set up across from them and shoot at them.
Yep.
You know, like I said, have an A, B, C, even D plan.
And I'll even say too, the guys out there fishing need to do a way better job of the layout hunters out there,
Yeah.
because some of them guys, man, I've seen some videos and it is crazy. So even if you're like just out there driving the boat or coming back in or whatever, just be cautious of what's going on around you, and especially being on the water, because the water is just, we talked about that this morning too, just respect the water, never take anything for granted out there. Don't think you know the water, because in a heartbeat, it could be completely changed.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of people will, you know, they'll have their outboard sitting there the last 10 months, and then now all of a sudden they want to start her up and they just throw it out there, and you're going to have, most likely you're going to have problems out there.
Yeah.
You know, so be prepared for that. Be prepared for the conditions, especially in the Great Lakes, you know, the Saginaw Bay, the Harsons, all these. The wind can cause a big problem out there.
For sure.
You know,
We just talked about the shipwrecks out in Erie.
Yeah, you know, so be prepared. Only go out there. I mean, listen.
A duck's not worth your life.
Exactly.
Right.
A duck is not worth your life. There'll be other days. You know, and if you go out there and you're taking that chance, but you know, be very careful. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
Water is the Saginaw Bay, the marshes of Erie and Lake St. Clair.
They could eat you up.
They can eat you up and spit you out. And
Yeah.
they won't find you for a couple days. So, you know, be careful, be prepared. You know, don't weigh down your boats. With so much gear and
I mean, taking
10 guys or
consideration
whatever.
the duck weights, your dog,
Yeah.
you know, your other buddies or whatever.
Yeah.
If you got to take some trips, take some trips.
Yeah, but Just be safe.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. You know?
I was going to bring that up too, off the topic of the water, which we'll go back on to, but the field hunting we talked about with the parking and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, today we had a parking spot where everybody can park all of our rental cars or used car lot, whatever. We actually had people stop up on the side of the road because there were so many cars, and we thought we were opening up an auction center there. But there's sometimes where are those fields that, you know, you got those busy lanes or whatever it is. I've taken vehicles up to Kroger's or wherever that there's a local something, parked all of our vehicles there, and just drove one car back. So one guy's just carpooling back and forth, and leave one car's better than 4, 5, 6, whatever.
You know, farmer wakes up in the morning having his coffee, and he looks out there and he sees a used car lot out there.
Right.
He's going to be like, well, this is the last time everybody's coming out here.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of people. So, yeah, condense it down. Try to be as efficient as you can. Yeah. You know, and...
bouncing back to the water. I feel like I've been all over the place with this. I guess a tip that I could say is one of your best spots is the farthest spot away from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen so many people do, like, every island's packed. One guy sits way off, and you're like, what the heck is he doing over it? Pounds him. You know what I mean? Like, don't think you got to be right on that point or, like, right next to the guy on the same island or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Go do something different than everybody else, and I guarantee you, you'll have a better outcome with that.
It's funny you say that because, like, when we were kids, my dad we'd go deer hunting, right? We never had a place to hunt other than state land. Mm-hmm. And there'd be tons of sign up there right where everybody parks, but we'd march all the way to the back of it, and then that's where we'd hunt. Mm-hmm. And he'd be like, I'm like, Dad, there's plenty of sign here. Why are we walking past? He's like, everybody else is going to be hunting here.
No, everybody's got the same mindset.
Go as far away from everybody else.
Yeah.
You're hunting hunters and staying away from them than you are the animals. Yep. He said, and you'll see more back here. You'll see a lot in the beginning up front.
Right.
But the farther you get away from everybody in the crowd, they're more undisturbed and they're back there.
See, sometimes I feel like with knowing your area, though, on that, what you're saying, there are some times where closer to the road's even a lot better. Because you're some of the times your best spot is right outside your truck door. You know what I mean? You come back, your turkey's standing there, a deer standing right next to you, whatever. But no, that's a lot of people just take the easy way. Mm-hmm. You know, the shortest spot to the marsh or closest cattail reed or closest tree to hang a stand in, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it also goes back to obviously doing it carefully, going out there into those spots.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting yourself in a dangerous situation on the water or whatever. I mean, every year there's Coast Guard has to get called out to somebody out there that shouldn't have been out there. So look at your weather, look at your wind, judge it, you know.
And for the future, not just at 8 o'clock or when you're going out to look for
the whole day.
What time you think you're coming back and what's in between that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a big thing too. I mean, it's even for field hunting wise. Wind might be dead south right now, but at 7 o'clock it says it's going to switch straight east. Well, we're setting up that way then.
Yeah, we're switching. We're setting up for an east wind.
Right. Or setting it up a way where, you know, we could shoot south. If we need to switch something up real quick, we can do it like super easily. Yeah. You know, I mean, today we had to move it once or twice, whatever it was. And it was easy though. Yeah. It wasn't like we had to move the whole spread around or anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No. I want to shout out Migra Ammunition. I don't know if we talked about that last time or not, but we've been shooting Migra. Absolutely love the stuff. And then the Gator decoy poles. They're from Ohio. They got the extensions on it. Awesome deal. They got a new thing coming out for the field hunting. They got 5/16, you know, basically a cork that you screw right in the ground, and you could use their poles in the field now because, you know, sometimes the field bottoms are so hard you can't even get a pole into it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a corkscrew type.
Yeah, which is super nice. But then obviously with Glenn with GK and all of his jokes that he's pulling.
I'll see him tomorrow. I'll have to smack him up a little bit.
Yeah, good luck with that. But no, Paul, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming down and spending the time. I know it's not just a jump across the city line. It's kind of a hike down, but it was nice to actually have you out in the field and, you know, kind of see the way we hunt. Not that we hunt with 15 guys every time, but just the people that we hunt with, I guess, and how we do stuff, I guess, down
Yeah.
this way.
And you know, everybody does things a little bit differently, you know, and you can learn from just hanging out with a different bunch of group of guys, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially, you know, I'm starting to get into this diver kick now,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I've been hunted with my buddies quite a bit, and that's how we did things, and then learned how to set the decoys, and then I went and hunted with another guy in Lake Erie.
Got another, like, just a little tip or something.
And you're still running the same lines. It's just how you set them.
Right.
I'm like, wow, that's so
They
much
just
better.
decoyed way better than they did last time.
Well, just setting them. You know, we'd
oh,
run
so,
up,
okay, I gotcha.
drop our anchor up in front, and then put the boat in reverse, and then just, you know, feed out the line. Well, he'd go behind the layout boat, get everything rigged up, and then hold onto the one and just drag it behind him.
Yeah,
And then once he gets to where he wants, drop it and go.
good to go.
Yeah, and it's so much easier, and just seeing those different things, you know. And I mean, what's your guys' trailer size? Is that like a 12-footer?
I think it's 14 to the tip, but the nose takes off 2 feet, so
Yeah.
it's like a 12-foot on the inside. Yeah.
I was impressed in how organized that was. Your 14-foot trailer, or 12, or
Yeah.
however, was
There's a lot
bigger.
of stuff in there.
There's way bigger
Yeah.
than it actually is, and you guys utilized that trailer to the foremost of
That
its
is
capabilities.
all my dad right there, because it's like when we had a 4-wheeler in there, if you can believe that.
Yeah,
or
that's what
not.
he was saying.
So it was literally like a Tetra game.
Mhm.
Like, if this isn't perfectly set right here, this ain't gonna work out.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how aggravating it is. Everything's all packed up. You had a long morning. You know, after the hunt, you got to clean geese now or whatever it is. Nope, we got to take everything back out. We got to redo it. It's like, dude, just throw it in there. So, like, we'll figure it out another day. But
Yeah.
like, you know, obviously we set the stuff up to, so it's easy the next day that we
Mhm.
use it. You know, easy in, easy out. I mean, I think we had the 3 A-frames. We got the 10 chairs or whatever it is in there.
Yeah.
7,
jet
8
sleds.
dozen decoys, full bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's we definitely use the space up very
Yeah,
well.
you guys utilize it to its extreme,
Yeah.
and like sometimes by the end of the season, through the season, trailers are just discombobulated.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like same thing you're talking about. It's just like,
Right.
it's been a long day, it's raining, it's cold. I want to throw everything in there
Yeah.
and get it out of there. But I was like, I kept looking at the side, and I'm like, man, this is only got to be a 12 or a 14-foot trailer.
I want to say that floor in there too. I want to say we got those specs, that epoxy spec where they glow at night too. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You got the little glow in the dark. The whole trailer just it came a long way with what we started with.
Yeah.
I guess, you know,
Because you see all these guys, they got 20-foot trailers, and they've got, you know, all these decoys and
just
everything.
piled up and
Piled
out of
up
bags.
yeah, and you guys had everything bagged, and what, 8 or 10 dozen full bodies in there, and the
Yeah,
nose, and then
yeah.
I was 4 A-frames. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
you guys,
It was crazy.
you
that's for
guys
sure.
have got it going on
Yeah.
here.
But I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, if you keep, your stuff cleaned up, or it's just gonna last that much longer. You throwing decoys in the front of the trailer, there's some that are that rough and rugged, but it's still not gonna last as long doing it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, you spend a lot of money on this equipment.
Right.
You might as well take good care of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And get your money out of it.
For sure.
You know, and yeah, I told your dad. I said, "Wow, this."
Well, now he's gonna be on his high horse the rest of the day.
Hey, you guys got it down. You dialed it in for what you have, and that just goes to show you, you don't have to have a 20-foot trailer. You don't have to have, you have a pretty good rig for 12, 14-foot trailer.
And it takes some figuring out. I mean, there's been, we had a lot of different ways that we tried stuff, but you find out which way works the best and you run with it.
Yeah.
But no, Paul, I appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Until next time, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hopefully today helped out a little bit, but we'll see ya.
All right.